All right. Some Fear Factory to kick off this weekly What's New episode number 5. Why some Fear Factory? Well, because it is the first topic, actually the first two topics. Really, it's probably going to take up like 80+% of this video. There's a few things I just recently discovered about Fear Factory, and specifically Dino Cazares, the guitar player in Fear Factory. So let's just jump into the topics and we'll get right into it. So Fear Factory, man, this goes back to my high school days. I used to be a huge Fear Factory fan. Saw them at least 4 times, maybe 5, in upstate New York where I grew up, and here in Atlanta. Absolutely fantastic band. I love their stuff. Seeing them live is incredible. If you ever get the chance, you got to see it. And getting into that specifically, it seems like we're going to have a chance to see some Fear Factory tours. Well, after this damn pandemic and it goes away, but we have hopes of new Fear Factory coming in 2021. But let's first take a little look at kind of how we got here, because there hasn't been much going on, or at least we haven't heard much about Fear Factory in the last few years. And a big reason is because if you follow Dino Cazares on Twitter, you'll see that Fear Factory has been going through quite a few issues over the last few years, 3 or 4 years, I believe. With lawsuits and internal issues in the band. And it even got to a point where just this year, in fact, just a few months ago, on May 29th, Dino posted on his Twitter that, and I'll link to the tweet or show a screenshot of it here, but he basically said he would never talk to or work with any of his former Fear Factory bandmates again. So obviously things were pretty heated up, or hot rather, back in May. So it kind of seemed, the outlook of new Fear Factory at that point seemed pretty bleak. But fast forward to September 2nd of this year, and Dino posts an update on Instagram mentioning new Fear Factory coming in 2021. Okay, all right. Well, let's take it easy here and not get our hopes up, right? And so then, September 10th, 2020, Fear Factory launches a GoFundMe. And I just pulled it up yesterday, in fact, and they had already surpassed their goal of $25,000. I don't know what it's at today. I'll have to double check, but at least yesterday it was over $28,000. So they had already surpassed their goal of $25,000. So according to that, I would say things are looking really good for some new Fear Factory. Well, September 13th, 3 days after they post the GoFundMe, they have, and this was before they reached the goal. Keep in mind, 3 days after they posted the GoFundMe, they started posting YouTube videos on their Fear Factory YouTube, and I will link to those as well in the description, with studio updates. So them with a producer, I forget the name of the producer, who's sitting in front of the computer there, actually like tweaking some of the stuff for the drums. But all of that will be in the description. You can go check out those videos as well. But we started getting some studio updates from Fear Factory on September 13th. Then fast forward to September 18th. And there is a GoFundMe update from Dino, again on YouTube, who is thanking all of the sponsors already who have already donated on their GoFundMe. And I forget the dollar amount at that point, but it was only like just over a week after they launched, and I think he said something like maybe 15 grand. So they were well on their way to reaching the 25 grand. So a little bit of a history there for kind of where we are today, but things are looking really good. I guess we'll wait and see what happens, but considering the fact that Dino's posted that new Fear Factory is coming in 2021, they launched the GoFundMe. It's already well over the goal. We started getting studio updates. I'm pumped. I'm super excited to see what these guys are going to put out in 2021. And I couldn't be more excited because, like I said, this is a band I grew up with. I love their stuff. Hence the reason I started the video out with some Fear Factory, some replica there off a Demanufacture. Fantastic album. So if you haven't checked out Fear Factory, go give them a listen. Absolutely incredible band. Continuing on with the theme of Fear Factory and specifically Dino Cazares, let me share my screen here and I will show you. Oh, I should note the guitar tones you heard in the intro beginning while I was playing over Fear Factory. At least my guitar tones specifically came from the Neural DSP Fort and Cali. Thing is absolutely sick. You should check it out if you haven't. So, why did I bring up Dino Cazares? Well, he has his own signature overdrive pedal now. So the Dino Cazares Overdrive, brought to you by ProTonePedals. You can find them at ProTonePedals.com. He has a few videos, which I'll link to as well, kind of demoing this, along with some new Fear Factory riffs, one of which is this right here. I'll actually go ahead and just see if I can play this. If it comes through okay in post, I'll leave it. If it sounds like hell, I'll take it out. But here it is. That dude can play so tight. Wow. Incredible. But I mean, if you heard the tone, he's using the new Dino Cazares Overdrive pedal there. And I'm not sure what amp. I mean, I see an EVH 5150, it looks like, in the background there. I also see some amp modelers and stuff. So I'm not sure exactly what amp he's running through. I know on a lot of his stuff, he uses a modded JCM 800. So if that's the 800, I mean, that sounds incredible too, but it's hard to tell. There's a few things behind him there in the video, but there are a few other pedals or videos here as well. Check those out. All in all, from everything that I've seen demoed on this thing, it looks pretty legit. It's got quite a few settings. Let's see, you've got volume, tone, drive, and a bass, which was pretty cool. So not only do you have a tone pedal, but you have a specific bass as well. So after you set your volume, you get the level, you're pushing your amplifier. You can tweak your tone a little bit if you want some more high end, a little less high end, maybe a little drive. I don't usually use the drive myself, but you can be able to, kind of dial in the bass as well to your liking. So if you're using an amp that maybe doesn't have a lot of low end, well, you can bring that up and vice versa, right? So thought that was pretty cool. So if anybody has one of these, if you ever get one, let me know. I'd love to check out kind of what your tone, what kind of tones you're getting. All right, so that is the Dino Cazares Overdrive pedal. Again, that is at ProTonePedals.com. Check it out. If you end up getting one and you put something out, let me know. Link me to it. I'd love to check it out. I'd love to kind of see what kind of tones you're getting with it. And maybe one day I'll have one and I can demo it myself. So with that, with the idea of overdrive pedals, we're going to jump into our quick tip of the week, which is actually kind of more of an interesting thing that I recently discovered, maybe a couple months back, is how you can visualize the effect that an overdrive pedal is having on your signal, which I thought was really, really cool and interesting. So we're going to go ahead and jump into that now, and I'm going to show you an example of how you can visualize the effect of your overdrive pedal. All right, so we are here in Logic, and to visualize, this you can use this for pretty much anything. It really works well for overdrive pedals because it's a constant change, whereas like a delay pedal, for example, right? Like that's not a constant thing. So we're going to just kind of visualize what the effect is of a few different overdrive pedals And these are all simulated versions, not any actual hardware here on my in the studio. Though I do have a TS9, a physical TS9, but I found the simulated or the emulated version is like pretty much identical. So we're just going to use the software versions here. So what we're going to visualize is this Ignite Amps Tyrant, the TS9, an OD808, a Fortin 33. The Fortin Hex Drive, and then the Fortin Grind. And so that this doesn't take too long, I'm going to just kind of jump through them quickly, but I'm going to show you how you can set this up yourself. So for me in Logic, I have this test oscillator plugin, and I'll show you how you can get to it. It's down here under Utility. Let me zoom this in here just a little bit so you can see this a little bit better. So down here on this channel strip, if you go to the audio effects, down to Utility, Test Oscillator, and just select mono, or if you have a stereo track, either way. And then you get this little window here. And if you just select, I think it's default on this sine wave, which is crazy annoying sound. All of these are pretty much annoying, which is why I have the track muted. But I tend to use the white noise just because it gives me a good spectrum, like frequency response, like all the way across the frequency from really low to really high. And obviously you can change the frequency here, but I found the default settings work perfectly fine, at least just for visualizing this. So I'm going to turn this on, and we are going to then turn on my Slate Digital Infinity EQ, because this is how I'm going to visualize what's happening here when I turn on these overdrive pedals. So if you have the Slate Digital Infinity EQ, you can do this as well. If you have the Fab Filter, what is it, Pro Q, that kind of does the same thing, right? Like it visualizes the EQ curve or of your signal, or it visualizes your signal, and then as you affect things, it shows you the resulting curve. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back to my Fortin Cali suite, and notice I have the amp section. And let me change this so you can see what I'm looking at. Here we go. Okay, so here's the Infinity EQ, as I was just mentioning. You can see the EQ curve of this white noise coming in. And let me just double check and make sure I have all these pedals off. I believe I do. And so this should all be default. So like the EQ curve that you're seeing here is the natural EQ curve of this white noise. All right, so now let's go ahead and get into turning on some of these pedals so we can visualize the result here. So I'm going to turn on the Fortin Cali suite, and notice I have the amp and the cabinet section turned off. This is literally just the pedal, and I turned it on. And now let's go ahead and turn on the Hex Drive and watch not this this gradient faded kind of static EQ, or this curve that you're seeing down through here. Look at the EQ curve that's actually like dancing all over the place. Like that's what you want to watch here. So I'm going to turn on the Hex Drive, and notice immediately we lose a lot of the top end, starting at maybe around, honestly, about 2 to 3,000 or 2 to 3,000 kilohertz here. Let's see if we go ahead and mess with the tone knob, bring up the tone. You can see how that really boosted up those high ends. Now, if we drop it way down, now it kind of flattens out. So all the way down, it's kind of a more flat, less, and it's not really like, it's not taking away any of the high end already. Like if you look at it, it's kind of more cutting the upper mids and just giving you more of a flat sound. And then if you go right to the middle, it kind of boosts up those upper mids again. And then as you go up past the kind of 12 o'clock point, it starts bringing up the high end. And then really it's right when you get about 3 o'clock and up, it really boosts the highs a lot. So that's the tone knob, and the level, well, obviously should bring up the whole signal, as it does, as you can see. So from noon all the way up, as high as it goes, it looks like it's giving us about maybe a 3 decibel increase overall on the entire signal. So not a huge boost, right? So now let's take a look at the grind, because I know this thing will push an amp. So let's just start right at 12 o'clock and turn this on and see what it does. Immediately notice the EQ curve change here. So we're cutting off a lot of the real high top end, starting at maybe around 10,000 like 10 kilohertz here, and then dropping off pretty drastically. And then the same kind of similar effect is happening on the low mids and lows here. So right about 1000 or 1 kilohertz, it starts to drop off pretty steep, and then start to a little bit level out here when you get down and, you know, less than 50 hertz, which really there's not much signal coming through in this white noise there anyways. But watch, there's only one dial here, right? So there's no tone knob or drive or anything. So let's just kind of turn this dial and see what happens. I'm gonna go down first. And obviously it's bringing the signal down. And it looks like it pretty much keeps the same EQ curve and just ultimately brings the whole signal down. So as we bring it back up, notice though, we're right at like 12 o'clock, right up the middle. And look at how much of a boost this is already giving us. So if I turn this thing off, you can see, I mean, we're already getting about a 3 decibel boost just at noon. And then as we start to go up, it gets incredibly loud. Look at this. So look at this difference. So off and then on. And I mean, we're getting like over 6 to 7, possibly even 8 dB boost here. So that it's really, really going to push an amp. And it just kind of holds that EQ curve across all the different levels I'm seeing here. The EQ curve pretty much stays the same. It's just the level that is increasing. There might be subtle changes in the curve, but overall it looks like it's just mainly really boosting the level. So continuing to move on here, I'm going to now turn off the Kali suite, and we're going to go into the STL Tones amp hub. I'm gonna turn this on and then quickly run through these. So the Tyrant, I'm gonna turn the power on. Immediately we lose some highs. Looks like the mids roughly stay the same. I'm gonna turn the boost on. Looks like we got a couple dB of gain there. So let's bring up the level, see how much this boosts it. Not a ton. Looks like it went up maybe 2 to 3 decibels. I'll see the tone. Yeah, that just gave us quite a bit more there on the high end. Bringing it down, it just kind of flattens it out completely. And then boosts right up about 500 hertz and up. Looks like it goes up. So that's an idea of what's happening with our Tyrant. Now the TS9. So we lose some top end here. It looks like it took off a little bit of the low end, but mainly our mids remained. So let's bring up the level as high as it goes and see, we got maybe 2 dB there. Then bring up the tone all the way. And it pretty much the same for the most part of what I'm seeing of the Tyrant, but it looks like it maybe, let's turn it off, turn it back on. So it brings down the ultra high end, really boosts those upper mids, and kind of brings off a little bit of the low end, not a ton. So let's see the 808 here, which is pretty close to a TS9. So already looking very similar to a TS9. Lose a little bit of the top end, keeping the mids pretty much the same. Bring up the balance. So pretty much the same curve, just bring us up maybe 2 to 3 decibels. Bring up the tone. And this looks like almost identical to the TS9. So if I turn off the 808, turn on the TS9, it's really, really close. Very, very close. All right, now probably my favorite pedal of all time, the Fortin 33, which is very close to the grind. We'll go ahead and turn this on and notice the EQ curve here. So I know the grind and the 33 are very, very comparable, very similar, but notice with the 33, we don't lose a lot of that like ultra high end, where the grind kind of really had a drastic drop off after about 10 kilohertz. It really dropped that off. The 33 doesn't appear to be doing that. It's pretty much just flat all the way across as far as this is showing me. But it did really drop that low end. So now let's bring this down and see what happens. EQ curve looks to be exactly the same. It's just all overall level coming down. Bringing it up, and geez, look at the level we're getting out of this. So yeah, the 33 appears to not cut a lot of the high end off, where the grind does. So from the low end perspective, this looks pretty similar to a grind. And in fact, let's just kind of flip back and forth here real quick. So we have, I'm going to disengage the 33 and then engage my grind and see. Yeah, look at the difference there. So we get let's see if it's roughly, it looks like the 33 gives us maybe a couple decibels more overall. And then the grind again. Yeah, looks like we get a couple, oh, no, I'm not all the way up. Let's bring it all the way up. Ooh, okay, so it may actually be the grind that gives us a little bit more gain here. Yeah, so the grind is gonna give us a little bit of a hotter signal by maybe a couple decibels. But the 33 is gonna, do the same thing as the grind, really kind of cut that low end to tame that low end, especially if you're playing down-tuned 7 or 8 string or super low tunings. But you're going to keep more of the top end with the 33 versus the grind that really has that harsh cut on the top end. So you can see where that really drastically drops off at around 10 kilohertz. So there we go. I don't want this to run on too long. That's just a run through of an interesting tip that I learned a couple months ago on how to visualize the effect of an overdrive pedal. I hope it comes in handy for you. All right, very last topic. I know there weren't too many topics in this video, but I figured I knew the visualizing the curve of an overdrive pedal or the effect of an overdrive pedal. I knew that was going to take a little while. And with the topic of Fear Factory kind of running through the history and then looking at Dino Cazares' overdrive pedal, I knew this was going to take a little bit. So the last topic I wanted to say was, or the last topic I wanted to bring up rather, is really a huge thank you to everyone who's been interacting with the videos that I have posted recently and in the past. As I've said in a couple of these past videos and more recently in my weekly What's New, this, creating content for YouTube thing, it's still brand new to me. I mean, I've only been doing it since like March, and I'm still learning as I go. And all of the feedback recently has been tremendously helpful. Even the constructive criticisms, like, keep that coming. I thoroughly enjoy it and I appreciate it. And, I see the subscriber count continue to grow. I think it was 2 or 3 videos ago I had mentioned I had just passed 200 subscribers. It's now at almost 230. So it's continuing to grow, which says that, people are seeing the stuff that I'm doing and appreciate it and want more. And I want to give it to you. I want to keep doing this. But keep the feedback coming, keep the comments coming, keep interacting, and let me know what you think I can improve on, what you want to see more of. And that's pretty much it for this video. We'll go ahead and wrap it up right there. Again, just a huge thank you to everyone for interacting with the videos, subscribing. And if you are watching and you have not subscribed and you're digging this content, hit that subscribe button down below. I would thoroughly appreciate that. Hit me with a comment and let me know what you think of these videos and the content that I have on my channel. Hit that like and share so you can let others know if you dig something here. Maybe your friends might as well. And as always, thank you for watching and thank you for your support.